What if I told you that the world as we know it was not always this interconnected, this global? Welcome to the age of exploration, a time when the boundaries of knowledge were stretched and the world as it was known was about to get a whole lot bigger. Picture the 15th century, a time of kingdoms and power, a time when the known world was limited to Europe, parts of Asia and Africa. There was so much more out there, just waiting to be discovered. But who would dare to brave the unknown, to venture beyond the horizon? Enter the players of our story, European nations like Spain, Portugal, England and the Netherlands. These nations were driven by a thirst for knowledge, a hunger for riches, and an insatiable desire for power. They yearned to establish new trade routes to the east, to bypass the treacherous land routes that were dominated by the Ottoman Empire. The potential rewards were enormous, but so were the risks. It was a gamble of epic proportions. And who were the gamblers? They were the brave, the bold, the explorers, men who were willing to risk it all in the pursuit of fame and fortune. Men like Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Ferdinand Magellan. They were the mariners, the pathfinders, the visionaries. They were ready to challenge the unknown, to defy the odds, to rewrite the map of the world. The stage was set. The actors were ready. The world was on the brink of an era of unprecedented exploration and discovery, a time when the world would shrink and expand at the same time, a time when the unknown would become known and the world would never be the same again. With the stage set, the world was ready for an era of unprecedented exploration and discovery. So hoist the sails, brace the winds, and let's set sail into the unknown, into the age of exploration. Any sailor will tell you that a good ship and the right tools can make all the difference. In the age of exploration, technological advancements were the winds that filled the sails of progress. It was an era punctuated by innovation, and the tools of the trade were changing. New inventions and improvements to existing technologies opened up the world in ways previously unimaginable, providing the means for explorers to venture further and further from familiar shores. Let's start with the compass. Although the concept of magnetic navigation was not new, the compass was refined during this era, providing a reliable means of determining direction. This seemingly simple tool was a beacon in the vast expanse of the ocean, guiding sailors across the uncharted waters. Then there was the astrolabe, an instrument used to measure the angle between the horizon and a celestial body such as the sun or a star. This ingenious device allowed mariners to determine their latitude and estimate their longitude, turning the stars into a roadmap for the high seas. But what good are these tools without a vessel to carry them? Enter the caravel, a ship design that revolutionized naval exploration. Light, nimble, and capable of sailing against the wind, the caravel was a game-changer. Its compact size allowed for maneuverability in shallow waters, while its robust construction could withstand the open ocean. Equipped with lateen sails, the caravel could catch winds from various angles, making it the ideal vessel for long voyages into unknown territories. These technological advancements were more than just tools and ships. They were the keys that unlocked the world. They turned the impossible into the possible, transforming the way people thought about the world and their place in it. Armed with these tools, explorers were ready to push the boundaries of the known world. These instruments of exploration were not just the building blocks of a new age, they were the harbingers of a world interconnected by the winds of change and the waves of discovery. The age of exploration was now in full swing, and the world would never be the same. Enter the daring explorers, the men who dared to venture into the unknown. These are the mariners who pushed the boundaries of the known world, who braved treacherous seas and unknown territories, all in pursuit of new lands and new opportunities. First, let's meet Christopher Columbus. An Italian sailor hailing from Genoa, Columbus was an audacious explorer whose ambitions led him to convince the Spanish monarchy to fund his voyage westward. His goal was to find a new route to Asia, but fate had other plans. In 1492, Columbus stumbled upon the Americas, setting the stage for a new chapter in human history. Then there's Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese explorer who served under the Spanish flag. His daring expedition in the early 16th century marked the first circumnavigation of the globe. Though Magellan himself didn't live to complete the journey, his crew carried on in his name, proving once and for all that the world was round and could be traversed by sea. These men and their contemporaries, like Vasco da Gama, John Cabot, and Amerigo Vespucci, charted unknown waters and returned with tales of distant lands, sparking an insatiable curiosity in their fellow Europeans. Their voyages led to the discovery of new continents, the establishment of new trade routes, and the birth of a truly global economy. But their journeys were not without challenges. They faced treacherous seas, hostile locals, and the perils of unknown diseases. Many did not survive their expeditions, but their legacy lives on, shaping the world as we know it today. These explorers didn't just discover new lands, they changed the course of history. They expanded our understanding of the world, paved the way for the era of globalization, and left a lasting impact that still resonates today. Their stories remind us of the human spirit's inherent desire to explore, to venture into the unknown, and to discover new frontiers. They are the great mariners of the age of exploration. But exploration was not just about discovering new lands, it was also about exchange. The age of exploration was a time of unprecedented interchange, a process that became known as the Columbian Exchange. This was not just a simple swapping of goods, but a complex and transformative process that had profound and lasting impacts on the world. As explorers traversed oceans, they brought back more than just tales of their voyages. They returned with commodities that were previously unknown or hard to come by in their home countries. Imagine tasting a tomato, a potato, or chocolate for the first time, or seeing a horse, a pig, or a honeybee. These were just a few of the goods transported between the old world and the new. It wasn't just tangible goods that were exchanged. The explorers also brought back ideas and knowledge, sparking a period of intellectual and cultural exchange. The old world encountered new cultures and civilizations, while the new world was introduced to European customs and practices. This exchange of ideas and cultures led to a fusion of traditions, cuisines, and arts that we still see in our globalized world today. But like all good things, the Columbian Exchange had its dark side. Diseases, such as smallpox and measles, were unwittingly brought to the New World, causing devastating epidemics among indigenous populations who had no immunity to these foreign ailments. This grim reality is a stark reminder of the unintended consequences of exploration and exchange. In the same vein, the age of exploration ushered in the era of global trade. The trade routes established during this time laid the groundwork for the global economy we know today. But this also set the stage for the exploitation of resources and people, leading to the rise of colonial empires and the transatlantic slave trade. The world was becoming a global marketplace, but this came with its own set of consequences. As we delve deeper into the age of exploration, we'll explore these consequences and the lasting impacts they have had on our world. So hold tight as we continue our journey through history. With new connections came new wealth, but also new conflicts and exploitation. As explorers charted new worlds, they paved the way for unprecedented wealth accumulation. The precious metals and exotic goods they brought back from the New World fueled prosperity in their home countries. The age of exploration also gave rise to global trade empires, as nations competed for control over these newfound resources and trade routes. From the spice-laden ships of the Dutch East India Company to the silver-laden galleons of Spain, the world was awash in a tide of wealth. But this age of exploration was not purely a time of prosperity and progress. It also brought forth conflicts and exploitation of a magnitude never seen before. The indigenous peoples of the lands discovered were often treated as obstacles to be overcome, rather than as fellow humans with their own rich cultures and histories. From the Americas to Africa to Asia, colonizers imposed their will, often devastating local populations with disease, warfare, and harsh conditions of servitude. Moreover, the establishment of colonies and the relentless pursuit of wealth led to the rise of the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcibly uprooted from their homeland, subjected to unimaginable horrors, and transported across the ocean to toil in the plantations and mines of the New World. This was a dark chapter in human history, a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink in the pursuit of wealth and power. So, as we recount the tales of daring voyages and groundbreaking discoveries, we must also acknowledge the darker side of this era. The age of exploration was indeed a double-edged sword, cutting a path towards modern globalization, but also leaving deep wounds of exploitation and colonization that still resonate today. The age of exploration was a period of discovery, but also one of disruption and destruction. The age of exploration may be long past, but its impacts still echo in our world today. As we navigate the currents of the 21st century, we find ourselves sailing on the wake left by those audacious explorers of yesteryears. The world as we know it is a global village, a tapestry woven with threads from every corner of the globe. This interconnectedness, this shared existence, was born from the voyages that dared to bridge the gap between the known and the unknown. The roots of our modern-day global economy were planted during the Age of Exploration, as trade routes were established and new markets discovered. Yet, the legacy of this era is not only found in the global connections we enjoy, the echoes of the past also resonate in the cultural exchanges that transpired. Foods, languages, ideas, and traditions were shared, borrowed, and adapted. Today we relish a mosaic of cultures, a direct result of these historical exchanges. But let's not forget, every coin has two sides. These explorations also led to the colonization of indigenous societies, exploitation of resources, and the spread of diseases that decimated populations. The echoes of these atrocities still reverberate today in the form of socioeconomic disparities, cultural erosion, and struggles for indigenous rights. The Age of Exploration also marked the dawn of scientific curiosity and discovery. The thirst for knowledge that drove explorers across vast oceans still fuels our desire to explore the frontiers of space and the depths of our oceans. As we stand at the helm of our own era, we are guided by the navigational stars of history. We chart our course, informed by the triumphs and tragedies of the past. The Age of Exploration may be a chapter in our history books, but its lessons are etched on the parchment of our present. The Age of Exploration shaped the world as we know it, for better and for worse. As we continue to navigate the seas of time, we carry with us the echoes of the past, reminders of our shared history, and guides for our collective future. As we conclude our journey through the Age of Exploration, it's time to reflect on its rich and complex legacy. This era, spanning from the 15th to the 17th century, was a time of great change, a time when humanity's understanding of the world was expanded and redefined. Think about it. Picture those daring mariners setting sail into the unknown, driven by a mixture of curiosity, ambition, and the lure of untold riches. They took the world as they knew it and stretched its boundaries, charting new territories and cultures that had previously been the stuff of myths and legends. The Age of Exploration was a period of technological innovation. The astrolabe, the compass, the caravel, these were the cutting-edge tools of the time that empowered explorers to venture beyond the horizon. It was an era that celebrated human ingenuity and our ceaseless drive to push the boundaries of what is known and unknown. But as we've seen, it wasn't all about discovery and progress. The Age of Exploration was also a time of exploitation and colonization. The same ships that brought back exotic goods also carried away indigenous peoples, enslaved and displaced. The new trade routes and colonies built during this era were often established at a great human cost. And yet, despite its dark chapters, the Age of Exploration also brought about unprecedented cultural exchange. Ideas, foods, animals, and even diseases crossed oceans, changing societies on both sides of the Atlantic in profound and lasting ways. The echoes of this era still resonate today. The globalized world we live in now, where cultures and economies are intertwined, can trace its roots back to those explorers and their daring voyages. As we navigate our own era of discovery and connection, let's remember the lessons from this pivotal period in history. For as we chart new worlds, be they physical, digital, or conceptual, we should strive to balance our thirst for discovery with a respect for the cultures and environments we encounter along the way.